Hey y'all, I'm gonna say Happy New Year because I am filming this on New Year's Eve, early morning. Um, but I will not post this up until tomorrow morning. And as you know, and part of the reason why is because my last unedited, I said it was the last unedited of the year, and I am not going back on my word. So this one will be the first unedited of 2025. So here we go. Happy New Year. Um, I hope you I hope you are okay with how 2024 wound up. I hope that you are looking at your 2025 with hope and plans of prosperity. Hold on. And I just I just want hold on. I just want everybody, I hope that you are, no matter what's happening, looking at this new year with hope and promise, because it's so easy to, especially when things have gone wrong, to stay in that space. Lord knows, hey, I've been there. But in order to get out of that, you got to start moving forward. There was a thing when when I was younger, and this is what I used to do. I used to walk. I used to walk a lot though, and it was mainly for transportation reasons. But during those walks, I really thought about things. And when things were going bad, I'm like, you know what? I can still walk. So I can walk through this. And so if things have been tough, if things have not been what you expected, no, you can keep walking through. You can walk and you can walk through some stuff. And I don't necessarily mean literally, but just in general, walking. Y'all, I used it up. Those are my empties. Okay. Y'all know that feels good for me. Okay. So that was what I wanted to say there. Boom, got that done. Um, for real, I just feel like it's it's easier to stay in your misery. It's harder to move forward out of it, because it's easy to sit and be upset and ruminate on, and just and sit in that moment. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you need to sit in your moment, but then you also got to stand up and get out of that moment. And that is where the hard part comes in. So sitting in your moment will help you figure it out. Okay, what do I need to do? But then you got to make sure you can stand up out of it. Sitting doesn't mean crime, doesn't mean regrets, doesn't mean feeling like you're a failure. No, sitting in your moment is the time to reflect on whatever's happened. And some things are out of our control. The death of our loved ones, sickness sometimes, things like that. But what can I do now to keep me going forward, to stand up? Because that is what will help you move forward, is getting to this point where, how can I stand up? So sit in the moment, reflect, but then use that time to plan on it. So let's talk. So as I'm going into this day, I'm sitting here, of course, like we all do, is I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, what are the things I want to change? What are the things are good or decent, in my life? Now, so for me, I'm looking at things, and I've been looking around at how I spend my money and all the things I have, and being realistic with myself. Um, because it's a lot, right? And I know I like to buy things. So I have to figure this out, right? But I also want to do other things. So I have to have a healthy balance. So that is on my plans. Now, one of my plans is I want to get back to my vision board. So today, while I'm out, I'm going to go buy my poster board, a couple of more magazines maybe, to work on my vision board. I'm probably going to have two. And the reason why not, B wants me, she's like doing this digital vision board. She's so, millennial. But want, I like physical ones. And it's probably because that's what I started out with, because this was before, you could do the digital ones. Let me put some on these lips. Oh my goodness. Y'all know I got bombs. I got the bombs. We'll be talking about them. And so I want to and then work with my planner better. Actually work with my planner for a full year. Really, really be intentional with the use of my planner, because it is an intentions planner, right? So I really want to do that and really think about the things I'm doing. Now, what I'm doing well is, hey, I have a good job. No lies. I'm not, even though the kids bother me and some days I'm stressed out, I like my job. And it's a pretty safe industry. Education. Everybody, you need a teacher. You need a teacher. So it's a safe industry I'm in. But I also want to continue doing the things that I do here and things like that, and incorporate things better. Now, with all that being said, let me just talk. So I am looking at all the things I have now, and with me trying to be a little more, I don't want to say it. I want to move my money, shift my money. And plus I gotta save money right now. And I'm trying to save more and just do more. I want to go places. I want to at least go out in the country at least once or twice a year. That's a goal of mine. Sometimes that might not be a long trip, but I really want to get to the point where I'm, and then other travel, right? Just day trips and things like that, right? Because I want to get out more, and just see the world, have a little more variety in my life, because the pandemic did slow all that down. It did put us in this, got me in this space where, hey, I like my house, even though I always liked it. But and then, we had to sit in it for over a year, really. And because that first year, I wasn't trying to venture out too much. Shit was it's weird out there. And now we face this new 4-year horizon, which will be quite interesting. Hey, but we're gonna make it through. And that's why I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. We all gonna be okay if we just understand that the people who will be most affected are the people who who have this expectation of glory based on who they voted for. See, I understand when he made it in. Oh, okay, this is where we're going. Because you got to think about it. This is his last hurrah. He can't do this again. So he can scorch the earth if he wanted to. He can leave a horrible legacy. It is what it is. And speaking of legacies, Jimmy Carter died, and he's 100 years old. Didn't know. But I will say this. Jimmy Carter was the best president ever. And the reason why I say that, not necessarily when he was in office, because he really didn't get to do a lot. He was that transitional between the Nixon Ford thing, and so people brought him in and but he was at a bad time. But he took that presidency, that platform, and used it for good, and was such a great man after his presidency. So because of that, he's the best president ever. Fight me if you want to. Show me another president who's done as much for people as Jimmy Carter has. Dang, that's gonna make me cry. Oh no. Okay, so since this is unedited, LuuLuu, let's have a moment aside. All right, so I don't think I'm crying for Jimmy Carter, but Jimmy Carter was a contemporary of my parents because my parents would be 98. They were alive. And I think thinking about him and the greatness that he brought into this world brought up all those feelings of grief and sadness. So, as opposed to just staying off, I'm gonna have a moment for you all. Um, and I'm doing this for the people who deal with grief, who've lost loved ones. And I'm here to say that your grief will never end. As I always say, grief is a solitary journey. And so be okay with it. My father has been gone for 40 years. My mother has been gone for about 30, almost 30. And sometimes thinking about them overwhelms me. And it's okay because I don't sit in it and be like, oh my God. What I do is let it happen and think about them and cry. And then I go back to my life because my parents wouldn't want me to sit around being sad about them all the time. But understand that my sadness because I do miss them still. And that's okay. So as you deal with your grief, let it be like a wave. The wave comes in sometimes and it can be tough. And then you let the wave go out. And the wave might not come in for a long time. And it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person because you're not thinking about your parents and you're not sad all the time or whoever you lost. You should not sit in sadness because you've lost people. You can't do that. But you will have your moments. And they will never ever go away. And it's okay. And it doesn't make you a bad person. But it also, when I have these moments, normally I process them by myself. I don't put them on people like my family, like because it's not their grief to bear. And it's not fair of me to expect them to process my grief with me or console me when I'm having these moments. Yes, if they catch me in a moment, I'll tell them what's going on. But in general, I keep it to myself. And it's served me well over the last 40 years. Sometimes you have your moments where people around you talk about it, but in general, they're your own moments. And so I say this because so oftentimes people, especially in the beginning of grief, you are looking for people to be there for you and understand. Honey, let me tell you, they're not. They're not. And it's okay because it's not their grief to bear. It is yours. And it is yours that you have to figure out. Now, yes, sometimes you might need somebody and they can be there for you, but do not expect it all the time. And do not demand it of people because that's asking too much. You must figure out how you can deal with your grief and still live. Because, see, let me tell you something. If these are your loved ones, they do not want your life to end, to stop, because they're not here anymore. They don't. They want your life to continue. And they want you to prosper just like you were before. They want your happiness. If they are your loved ones, they want your happiness, whether they're here or not. So do not make their their life the end of your life. Do not make the end of their life the end of your life, because then you are not living up to what your loved ones will want for you. And now you are not living the legacy of your loved ones. And I don't know, so I'm just putting that out here. So I'm gonna take a minute, get this all together, and we're gonna go back in. All right, I'm back. Hey. All right, got myself together, y'all. Now, in the spirit of Unedited LuuLuu, that's why I let that roll. I could have just stepped away, cried a little bit, got myself together. But I feel like when I do these, just be full Lou. And so that's why I did it. So for some, I'm sorry if I've made you cry, upset you. That wasn't my intention. Let's get back to the intention of this video. All right, so let's keep talking. So anywho, so yeah, I'm about to put up vision boards because I find that when I was doing them, that I really was getting, it was really focusing me on things and really helping me with my thinking about the intentions that I was going for and stuff. And so one of the things that I really want to do this year better is put some routines in my life, because some things I've become just really super lazy. So, and it is what it is, hey, I be life, and sometimes you just need to rest and relax. Well, I'm ready to do some things a little differently. So, and I think kind of what springboarded it was taking that moment and just going to see Stevie Wonder and saying, "Oh yeah, let me just go do this," and being in a position where I could, because there was some times, maybe when I couldn't have done it a few years ago, I could have been like, "Okay, yeah, let me go and get these tickets to go see Stevie Wonder. Let's do this." I couldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it. So, yeah. Okay. So there we have that. And we're gonna work it out. Okay. Huh. So with that all being said, let's get into this. So yeah, so that I'm looking at. And then I even though I haven't done a lot over Christmas break, because I'm gonna be real with y'all, the grands have been home. The daycare closed last week. I think this was the first time we were talking about this. They've usually taken a few days off. They haven't taken a full week off before. And so by doing it, it kind of like threw me off, you know, and they, my grands, they love me and I love them. So I've given them a lot of attention. And part of it is to keep them from coming down here because it was Christmas time and I had gifts, but also because I need to straighten out some things down here and I can't clean in them here because they demand attention. And part of the reason why they demand attention is because my darling granddaughter will get in all of my things. Like this was a brand new tattoo liner, brand new. So, when she's down here, I got to be on her in this space. I got to sit with her and then we got to go. So I had to manage them. It's a lot going on down here. So but I also, with all that being said, I've been kind of like looking at things. And from what I've been saying recently, y'all kind of know, I'm thinking more about how I'm doing using these products that I buy. Cause I am a shopper, right? And I'm being real with y'all. Part of having social media and being on content is a justification for the shopping. Let's just call a spade a fucking spade, y'all. I like buying this stuff, and so by talking to you all about it gives me a reason too. That's why. Well, I'm a content creator. Just and then shuts people up. Oh, okay, shut the fuck up. I'm buying a lot of stuff. Okay, so anyway, I need to find me I gotta find me a moisturizer. I used up one that had been around for a while. So saying that, let me go on to what I want to do. One of the things that I am working on with this year, so I'm going to talk about some things in reference to, and it comes in reference to what I'm doing on here and just in general. One of the things I'm trying to do is use products. And the reason why I say that is because I buy things with the intention sometimes of using and then I go to the next thing. And that's the thing about buying. You start doing things, and I am not always as good on my self-care. Like I should be giving myself a facial twice a week. A mini facial. That doesn't happen all the time. So I'm trying to put those things in my rotation and make sure that I'm doing those things. But I also don't want to make it feel like a chore because then it defeats the whole purpose of relaxing me. But But also, I'm saying this because things accumulate. You see things, you be like, ooh, ooh. So now I'm trying to make sure I rotate things in and out better. And then I'll say to myself, okay, for this 2 months or 3 months, I'm using this. Then after that, I'm going to use this. I might take a break and try something else out, because I do like to sample things and see, do I like them? Like right now, I'm about to try this skin essence out, right? Because I used up my old one and this one is going on sale on Ulta in about a week and a half. So I want to use it to see, do I want to get it while it's on half price? Because that might be one of my rotations. Eventually, who am I kidding? I'm never gonna just be like, okay, this is just my skincare, even though I do have Holy Grail. If y'all would like to see my Holy Grail skincare stuff, I'll show you. Because there's stuff that's been around forever. And I always keep in rotation. But I'm sorry, I'm looking at stuff. Don't mind me. This is what happens. My mind scatters. Yeah. So, okay. So things I'm trying to do is with the things I'm doing, I'm really like, okay, you don't have to buy everything. And it is so hard not to, because you're watching people and it's like you kind of low key trying to keep up. And we can all front and say we're not, but we do, because it's like, ooh, they got it. Ooh, I want it. And so I'm trying to move out of that and also work out my own things, because I have an excessive personality. So I'm the type of person who, do I still have those? See, this is what happens. Mind goes all over the place. So I'm the type of person who will get on a tangent, and then I just need everything. Like, for instance, we'll talk about this lip balm and body butter. So I'm using them though. So I got my thoughts. I'm getting my thoughts together so I can actually do a video on it. But let me say, so I have to watch myself in reference to these things, and then use the things I have, because I'm looking and it's like I've accumulated, and I'll buy something, I'll use it maybe once or twice, and then it just sits here. And a lot of things I have the good intention of telling y'all about, and I never get to it. Like I was looking at stuff, and I'm looking up, I was like, damn, this is discontinued. Had it for years. Maybe some of the stuff I talked about, some of this I've never talked about. So I am now thinking about things and going, okay, let's talk about to ourselves, let's talk about it and use it, and and really give a good conversation about it. And just for my own consumption, use your stuff, because what's the point of having this all sitting here if you're not using it? And and that's where I sit in this overconsumption space. Not that I feel like I'm gonna stop, but I do need to like use the stuff. And I get, so like for instance, I get why people try to do the empties thing, but I also don't want to do the empties thing in a way that's not honest. So as opposed to trying to slatter myself and use up things really quickly because I'm just trying to prove that I'm using them up. No, I want to use them up because I did use them in a intentional way, and not an over excessive way to prove a point. I hope that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. So this year, I'm actually looking at things like, let me show y'all something. Where's it? Not that one. Give me a second. Like, for instance, this is a real for instance, and y'all gonna be like, really, Louise? I'm gonna say, we listen and we silently judge. This is a company called Tavo Place. She's actually here in Illinois. She's right down the street. I could drive to pick up my stuff. I bought these over a year ago. Have you ever heard me talk about them? You have not. And I have got to stop doing that. So I am really going to try to be more intentional about talking about things like that, because guess what? Somebody might be interested in it. And also just from the standpoint of why buy all these products that you plan on telling people about and you don't. And especially where I am with I'm off of the hype train per se. Like, where I'm like, gotta get what everybody's talking about, trying to be on that popular train. So as a creator on here, I'm working into, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want it to look? And continue, if I'm going to continue doing it. As y'all can see, I haven't been putting any on my original channel, but it's either that, because I know I can't do 2 channels. Maybe I can. We'll see what happens. But yeah, but also in living my life in a way that is very happy for me in different ways, like my plants and gardening. So being able to incorporate that, making sure that I'm having some balances, not just work-life balance, because I'm pretty good with that, but life balance. Because the thing is, living multi-generational with my grandkids that I love with a big heart, I can get sucked in. So I'm working on making sure that I give myself some time, and I have put it in the thing, but now I'm going to get back to that. So like, I think I'm going to start doing my Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, just going out by myself and like even just sitting at a coffee shop, just, having my moment that I need to like recharge and rest on my own. And I think I'm gonna put that back on. I think I'm gonna make sure that we put on the calendars again our weekends off. So that gives us those times. I'm gonna tell them, y'all need to do a date night once a month. Let's get this on the calendar. Things like that, so that everybody in the household is feeling good and getting things done, right? And feeling that balance. So that's one of the things. So like this year, I'm trying to really, from the standpoint of doing this stuff and content, being more mindful of the things I have and actually using them, and 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 in a thoughtful way. Because we know I've gone on a body butter crusade too. I have a body butter crusade coming. There's 2 more body butters that I want for my crusade, and then I will feel complete, because I have this completion vibe sometimes. And I'm working through that too. And I'm also going to put out my wish list, because I want to like really hone in on things that I just really want. But then I also balance it with things that I feel like I want to get for here. Like we were talking about it, I bought a bunch of Bordeaux 1902s. Part of the reason why is because I like to infuse. I don't ever want to be somebody who does this and it's just snobbishness, you know. So I buy a lot of niche. I do. Now we know I buy it on sale. So, I buy a lot of things like that. So I get things at a good price. But I also want to give some things like, hey, these are really good at this price point. So sometimes I'll get caught up in that. So I have to watch myself. So those are things that I really want to infuse this year into what I'm doing, and be intentional about my finances, things like that. Because when you actually do an inventory, it's like, okay, that was a lot. I will say it's probably nowhere near the level that I was spending during the panorama. Because 2020, when I went back and looked at how much I had spent on fragrances, whoa, whoa. And I was making, real talk, about 30,000 less than I make right now. Yeah. Yeah, because I was at my old school and they didn't pay us shit. Yeah. About 30,000 less than I make now. That's a big jump, if you think about it. So, yeah. Had to just be honest with myself. I was out of control. And so as going forward into this year, um, I think I'm hoping to create content that is more creative, that has more depth, um, and what I mean by that is not just hauls, not just my best ofs, not the top 10 list, but actually, and maybe they will be lists, but at least they'll have some, creativity in them, figuring out how to show other things. Like I'm trying to get back into my makeup, and so we got to figure out how to talk about makeup, or because that drives me and helps me to do it. Also, some other personal things, like with all the things that I do, and there's a lot of clutter. And so I am now slowly working through my clutter and being honest with myself and saying, okay, what do you need? What don't you need? We're decluttering toys because there's too many toys in the house. And so I'm looking at going, okay, stop yourself. Do you have it? Because y'all, this is real. Even with the kids, I have to watch myself because I have actually bought the same thing twice for them because I forget what I've purchased. So I'm trying to do better with that. And like one time, this is what was like a wake up call for me. I was on Ulta's app and I was thinking, oh, I want this. I need a body scrub because I saw somebody talking about body scrubs, and I have one. The one they were talking about in particular, I have it. Don't use it as the way I should, but okay, I have it. And it's a good scrub. And it's a KP scrub, it's an AHA scrub, right? So I was like, ooh, let me look. And I was like, ooh, I want to try this one. Because why did I go onto the Ulta app? And thank God the Ulta app and Amazon does this for me now. It showed me that I had purchased it in September. And I was like, I did? So I had to go by my bathroom and look around. I said, God damn it, you did. And that was kind of like a wake up. It was like, okay, Louise, slow your roll. Start looking at what you have. Let's finish off some things. Let's make some things happen correctly. So that is where I am now. Like, that was like, okay. So before you start buying some things, let's start looking through inventory. Let's decide how we're going to use it. Like, I am about to put some things in like, for instance, I'm about to get some baskets, and we're going to go through my baskets because there are some things I need to empty. I'm close, and I want to make sure that I do that, and then say, okay, do I need this? Because like right now, I keep looking at the Bath and Body Works, but then I got all this other stuff, and so I'm like, okay, so let's figure out what we're doing with all this. I am supposed to be going to this perfume swap and sale in January. And I have a bunch of stuff that I've kept down here that's been decluttered. I've added a few more things. And probably right before I do it, I will show y'all everything that I have declared. Some of it is old. Some has still been sitting around here. Some of it's newer that I've just said, let's just go and get rid of it. So that's what I'm doing there. When it comes down to, I decide I like sneakers, and I have bought sneakers after sneakers. And I think it's partially because I'm always looking for some that are comfortable, because not all these motherfuckers are comfortable. When do sneakers become uncomfortable? It's bizarre to me. So I got to go through these shoes and then say, okay, here's what I want. Here's what I don't want. Now, the problem is, I think I'm going to reach out to a woman's shelter. And I saw I was going to tell my daughter the stuff, that really good toys that we don't want. I think I'm going to reach out. I'm going to find a women's shelter and talk to them and say, do you all need these things? Because maybe they need some toys for kids. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they need clothes and shoes and things. Not to say that I've got stuff like, hey, but sometimes you just need what you need. And I have been blessed in times when my shit was low that people came through for me, which reminds me, I got to call my cousin. Anyway, so I'm going to stop now because it's 34 minutes in. And y'all know I can be long-winded as hell. But so let me wrap it up for y'all. Let me wrap it up because some of y'all gonna go, what the fuck is she talking about? So here's where we're going for 2025. I am going to try to be more intentional, more scheduled, work on routines because I'm an Aries and I could just be all over the place, fire. Ah. So I'm working on that, being more routine, having some routines that I'm doing. Also with things like the house, I'm trying to like put that on schedules. Like, okay, I need to be doing this. And what I've learned from me personally, I don't do well when I try to say, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to clean this up or I'm going to declutter everything today. No. What I've learned about myself, and that's what I have to do again, get back into, is my little bites of it. Like, okay, this area, let's fix this area, Louise, get this together, and then go to the next area. And by doing that, I get things done. Like even with my garden, I'm starting to think about my garden. And so I need to plan that out and I need to like do the little things so that I'm not overwhelmed and trying to do everything at once. So now I'm learning about certain types of ways to sow seeds that'll be very intentional and very easy breezy on me. So I'm gonna start there. So I'm gonna do some brassica. So I'm gonna start some winter sowing. I'm going to be doing, and work on once by and put on my calendar how to get my garden going, how I want it to look this year. What do I need to add to it? Because that's my gifts that I want for my birthday and for Mother's Day is gardening gifts. Because that's when I'm ramping up for the gardening season. So then also thinking about where I want to do, what I want to do for myself, on a regular, adding in the things that I need on the regular. When it comes down to here, being more, being more creative, being, not just doing the easy breezy because I don't have to think too hard and I could just throw some stuff up. Yes, people like hauls, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna try to slow down on these hauls. Um, People like those things. And we already know I've gotten rid of the Middle Easterns. We also know I'm really not a Bath and Body Works person. So if you're going to be here and hang out with me, it's all about what moves me. I also have to think about my members and being intentional about you all, my whole nation. And I would love the whole nation to grow because I do have some ideas. So I got to work out my ideas and put them down on paper and say, okay, this is where I'm going. And then do it in bite-sized moments because if I try to do everything, it'll be overwhelming. I won't get shit done. So like this is January. So I will be doing my first monthly live stream of my whole nation, which will be, for those members, which means I got to put it on a calendar and say, things like that. So I have to be more intentional with what I am doing, right? And even with that, I have an idea. And so I want to make sure I'm doing it and making sure that I uh, keep it where I am I keep focused and do it because I get lazy. I do. And so I'm thinking about the things I need to do, especially on the short forms. So I'm trying to be a little more intentional and continual with my short form content on because the short form content is so goofy not to be because you take one, you can put it on all your on all your platforms. And so it's only one thing that serves three things, which is do it. So that's where I am on that. And what else? I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's all it needs to be. 'Cause, all right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Because then I wouldn't talk for 5 more minutes after I said I was going to wrap it up. I hope that was a good wrap up. So if you watched this far, I hope may your 2025 be glamorous. May your 2025 be filled with peace. May your 2025 be overflowing with prosperity. May your 2025 be everything you want it to be. As always, be bold, be brave, be fearless, be free. Happy New Year.